This is Stanley Qiufan. I'm a science fiction writer. I'm the author of Waste Time and AI 2041, 10 Visions for Our Future. Today, I'm honored to be part of our Cybernetic conference. My topic will be Reimagine Cyberpunk from a Chinese perspective. So in 1984, Canadian fiction author William Gibson published his seminal work, Neuromancer, which had its third Chinese edition translated by my friend, also my alumni, De Novo. She's a biologist from PKU and Columbia University. So this is the third edition of the previous one, which published in 1999, titled 神经浪游者, which is an inaccurate and unthoughtful version, which was long blamed. And in 2012, Taiwan, there's another edition published by Kaiyuan Shu Yin. They also invited William Gibson himself to pen a new preface to the Chinese readers of the 21st century. In this preface, he shares a revelation from his father-in-law, a lifelong Canadian socialist who, after visiting China in 1982, told Gibson, "Everything will change." Gibson, however, expressed relief that he never imagined China's future. Just as I guessed wrong about Russia's future, I let Soviet Union exist in the geopolitical backdrop of my story, towering like rusted scrap iron. As for what China would become, it was utterly beyond my imagination. So according to Lawrence Person, editor and author at the American science fiction magazine Nova Express, a quintessential cybernetic cyberpunk character is a societal underdog forgotten by a dystopian society driven by advanced computer technology and information flow, who reveal in a new tech and modification of infiltrating vast virtual worlds. He summarized his admiration in just two words: high-tech, low-life. This might explain why this challenging read is revered among Chinese sci-fi enthusiasts. But in China, its transmission and manifestation seems somewhat different. This is also one of my essays back in 2013, published on New York Times Chinese version in China, only cyber, no punk. So for Chinese sci-fi fans, the inception of Chinese cyberpunk is undeniable, marked by Duel on the Web by Xinghe back in 1995, published on one of the most famous science fiction magazine, Science Fiction World. And Mud, Hacker Incident by Yang Ping, which was published in 1998. The influence of these works was so significant for a long time. Both authors struggled to escape the pigeonholing that hindered their later writing careers. Duel on the Web tells a campus love story set in virtual space, while Mud Hacker Incident depicts brutal conflicts among hackers, fractions in the Mud world. Clearly, this work served the early wave of China's internet boom, romanticizing the future of computing and networking through literature. A widely circulated anecdote of Chen Tianqiao, the CEO of Shanda Network, who, inspired by Mud Hacker Incident, ventured into online gaming business, later securing the novel's right as a tribute to his success. However, China's cyberpunk was betrayed a native imitation of Western counterparts, focusing more on the spectacle of cyberspace than on understanding and expressing the deeper punk spirit. For two authors born during the Cultural Revolution, the punk spirit could only be secondhand, learned from Western literature and film, almost devoid of a genuine grasp of hippie movement, individualism, or drug culture. Through the Cultural Revolution might be seen as another form of order subversion, its top-down nature and authoritarianism turned into a self-devouring Ouroboros, causing profound societal, cultural, and personal rift and paradoxes. For a long time, numerous Chinese originals mimicking cyberpunk appeared to restrained, clean, and lacking in detail. With even less to say technically, reading William Gibson's work feels like being reborn or waking up on another planet, in the words of the famous Taiwanese artist Yao Dajun, brimming with dazzling details, immersing you in his vision, a testament to the greatness of cyberpunk style. In contrast, reading Chinese cyberpunk works feel like switching from IMAX to a low-definition full screen. The drop in detail and style is staggering, leaving text to pander to the reader through plot, becoming even cheaper. As for the punk spirit, due to censorship or self-censorship, it always appears blurred in Chinese sci-fi. In cyberpunk narratives, the pervasive pessimism about dystopian futures where massive corporation replace governments as centers of power is common. These entities expert control over individual groups through omnipresent computer networks, breeding corruption and social alienation, while people indulge in cheap virtual entertainment, obtaining rural events. Cowboys like anti-heroes engage in Sisyphean struggles against colossal conspiracies within mega cities, reminiscent of 1982 Blade Runner. In the film, we are taken to 2019 Los Angeles, where the cityscape is dominated by giant Japanese geisha billboards, a stacked showcase of the film's fascinating with Eastern imageries. The East meets West theme echoes in Ghost in the Shell, set against the backdrop of Hong Kong and the futuristic Tokyo, blending cybernetic fantasies with urban mysteries. Then there is The Matrix, a cinematic novel that pushes the boundary of cyberpunk, intertwining cutting-edge visuals with deep philosophical musings, peppered with reference to Eastern Zen, that beckons on the question. Cyberpunk, right from its inception, has been deeply infused with Eastern aesthetics, using Japanese motifs to craft a sense of exotic otherness and an Oriental gaze. Such a fusion is deeply rooted in the zeitgeist of the 1980s, a period of profound technological, geopolitical, and cultural shifts that cyberpunk mirrored in its narratives. So cyberpunk's aesthetic was heavily influenced by the electronic consumer goods of its time, from the allure of consumerist icons like Apple II PCs that found their way into every home, to MTV, which symbolized American or later global pop culture. Atari console, its simple 8-bit graphics, low resolution, and limited color saturation, exemplified the era visual style. Atari's venture into VR system also marked an early foray into what would become a significant cultural and technological trend. The emergence of consumer electronics and popular culture significantly shaped cyberpunk's aesthetics, offering us a glimpse into the movement's visual and thematic preferences. The 1980s was ripe with technological innovation and narrative constructions that fueled writers' imagination. From the advent of electronic computation in military labs to the conceptualization of an automated society based on Wiener's control theory, the development of words like ARPANET and breakthroughs in microprocessors herald the dawn of the information age and post-industrial era, where personal computation could transform daily life. VR's commercial application in the 1980s, despite its initial crudeness, along with advances in gene editing and nanotechnology, first expanded the cyberpunk narrative, integrating themes of human enhancement and the futuristic vision of society. Toffler's The Third Way influenced a generation sci-fi writer to envision new societal structures, both physical and virtual, making the evolution of cyberpunk from a niche genre to a broader cultural and technological discourse. As we delve into the origins and evolution of cyberpunk, our current era seems point to imagine its expand with these themes, reflecting on how far head next the fascinating interaction of technology, culture, and speculative fiction. To discuss its artistic expression without acknowledging the rich tapestry of its historical backdrop would be to overlook the essence of cyberpunk. Looking back at Neuromancer, the landmark from 1984, the 80s under Reagan's America saw a backdrop of a Cold War tensions peaking and the eventual disintegration of the Soviet Union. During this time, Japan's rise as a burgeoning power across geopolitics, economy, technology, and pop culture left an indelible mark on cyberpunk, influencing its core DNA. Meanwhile, the US saw a resurgence of conservative values, social inequality, and a vibrant counterculture movement. In this era of change, Reagan's significant investment in the Star Wars program, a space-based missile defense initiative aimed at neutralizing the nuclear threat, symbolized the era's intersection of science fiction and reality, painting the backdrop against which such types narratives of resistance and rebellion unfolds. In light of such a rich history, drawing parallels between the past and the present offers intriguing insights. It's widely known that Ronald Reagan was the first actor to ascend to the presidency. leveraging his lengthy career in showbiz before taking office. Interestingly, we've seen another president highly possible to step up again with a background as a reality show TV star, suggesting a fascinating synchronicity between the two. Their policy, like tax cuts, the American First agenda, an effort to bolster the income of working class, to enhance their livelihood alongside strategies like framing international political adversaries, provide rich materials for comparison. Make me that we might be on the curves of the cyberpunk renaissance, given the historical parallels that echo throughout August. So William Gibson's father-in-law was right. Everything in China has changed. The cityscape of major cities can rival Tokyo, Shibuya, or Manhattan. Every gate in the subway is fixed on the screen of smartphones, assembled thousands of miles away. In closer factories, workers labor inserting cheap contemplation like an ad break. Platforms are flooded with homogeneous TV shows entertaining overworked office workers. Social networks turn people into celebrities every 30 seconds, only to be forgotten even faster. The installation of over 400 million surveillance cameras nationwide has enabled new smart city system to analyze collective visual data, monitoring traffic conditions in real time across the city, optimize signals to ease congestion and speed dispatch for emergency vehicles. Now over 500 Chinese cities are rolling out the urban optimization AI. So we already live in a cyberpunk world. As William Gibson put it, the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. If science fiction catch up with our reality, how can we reimagine the cybernetic society in the future and refresh the core value and aesthetics of cyberpunk as the genre? In my novel, Waste Type, which published in Chinese in 2013, set around 2025 on a fictional island called Silicon Isle, a small island in southern China, ravaged by electronic waste, where local cleaning forces, foreign waste workers, and transnational corporate elites clash. The story follows trash girl Xiaomi, who after being infected by a virus, becomes a cyborg, leading oppressed foreign workers in rebellion. During the planning phase, I considered many endings, but ultimately, I chose one where capital and local authority united to improve the labor conditions in the name of harmony. Curing this unfinished cyberpunk revolution, while the protagonist fighting for freedom meets a tragic end. What drove me to this choice? Perhaps my own lacking of understanding of the punk spirits, or maybe the accelerating reality just make my imagination strained. What should we do if we really want to reinvent the genre or reimagine the cybernetic society in the future and tell it with a new narrative. It might be helpful to briefly revisit the thought source for the genre, cybernetics as theory. Development of cybernetic have been a fascinating journey, spanning several decades and encompassing a wide range of disciplines. It has undergone significant transformations, each building upon the foundation laid by the previous generation of thinkers. In 1948, Wiener's book Cybernetics on Control and Communication in the Animal and the Machine laid the groundwork for what would become known as first-order cybernetics, a field concerned with the study of control and communication in living organisms and machines. Central to first-order cybernetics was a concept of feedback loops, which allow systems to self-regulate and maintain homeostasis. This idea was further developed by other prominent figures such as William Ross Ashby and Heinz von Foster. As the field of cybernetics evolved, a new generation of thinkers began to emerge in the 1970s and 1980s until now, giving rise to what would become known as second-order cybernetics. This new approach, championed by the likes of Humberto Maturana, Francisco Viella, and Nicholas Luhmann, shifted the focus from the study of observed systems to the study of observing systems. Second-order cybernetics recognized that the observer is an integral part of the system being observed, and that the act of observation itself influences the behavior of the system. This led to a deeper exploration of concepts such as autopoiesis, self-creation, embodied cognition, and the role of language in shaping our understanding of reality. I just list out a lot of influencers, thinkers, and people who make huge contribution to the development of the theory. But more than that, we can see maybe part of the first order and second order cybernetic society had already become reality, especially in countries like China, Japan, Korea. What we need to look at is the recent year rapid shifting technologies such as generated intelligent AI have opened up new avenues for cybernetic inquiry. Generative AI systems, such as deep learning neural networks, are capable of creating novel and complex outputs based on the pattern they have learned from a vast amount of data sets. This has led to a renewed interest in the study of emergent behaviors and the potential for machines to exhibit creativity and adaptability. However, the rise of generative AI also raises important philosophical questions about the nature of intelligence, consciousness, and the relationship between humans and machines. Similarly, the field of synthetic biology, which seeks to engineer living systems for various applications, has brought a new dimension to the study of cybernetics. By manipulating the building blocks of life, synthetic biologists are essentially creating new forms of feedback loop and control system within living organisms. This has far-reaching implications for our understanding of the principles that govern the behavior of complex biological systems and the potential for creating novel life forms with desired properties. The latest article just got published on February 2024 this year by Marcin Karolski from Computational Social Science Department, ETH Zurich. The article proposed a new paradigm within the field of AI ethics, value alignment, biospheric AI. The authors argue that the dominant anthropocentric perspective, which focuses solely on human value, is inefficient to capture the complexity of the biosphere and ensure that AI does not harm it. They propose an ecocentric approach where the AI is enmeshed with the biosphere and its proper functioning is dependent on biospheric processes. This perspective aims to foster the development of AI that understands and communicates with the biosphere, ultimately developing an ecocentric ethical perspective. It is clear that the next step of cybernetics will involve the synthesis of insights from various disciplines. The challenge will be to develop a unified framework that can account for the complex interactions between living and non-living. The role of the observer in shaping reality and the ethical implication of creating intelligent and autonomous systems. This will require a deeper understanding of the principle of self-organization, adaptation, and emergence, as well as the willingness to grapple with the profound philosophical questions that arise from the blurring of the boundary between the nature and the artificial. As we navigate this uncharted territory, we must remain mindful of the words of Nobel winner, who cautioned that the world of the future will be an even more demanding struggle against the limitations of our intelligence, not a comfortable hammock in which we can lie down to be waited upon by our robot slaves. It is up to us to rise to this challenge and to shape the future cybernetics in a way that benefits all of humanity. We need to summon the rebellious spirits of punk to revolutionize the genre and provide alternative ways out of our lived reality. Does not end with criticism directly towards capitalism, environmental exploitation, or constructive meanings of art and beauty. As the Chinese science fiction researcher Nathaniel Isaacson put it, late Qin reformers deployed science fiction as a vehicle of exploring modernity when China was faced with a radical epistemological shift following its encounter with Western science. For example, Yang Qichao Xu by translating and writing science fiction, those reformers sought to imagine a future in China, emancipate from both the Qing Empire and colonizers through technological advancement. However, Isaacson believes that this attempt is bound to result in a deficit, as the inherent colonial structure embedded in the genre of cyber determines that it will always be equivalent to the intent to conceptualize and undo Orientalism, another byproduct of imperialism, is unrealizable for the same reason. When Chinese indigenous traditions are regarded as inherently contradictory to Western science, an effective work of science fiction but silent, the indigenous to make the way for more progressive worldviews, consequentially suggesting the former is somewhat backward and need to be improved. Isaacson expands for late Qing writers of science fiction the failure of imagination entailed the inability to imagine a world absent European empire. The narrative failure to figure out alternatives become a de facto expression of the supremacy of the status quo. The modernity that China achieved through science fiction is perpetually the colonial modernity, and the fight against Orientalism can only spiral into a self-orientalizing Sisyphean effort when the term Asia is applied as a descriptor. It is almost always implying a certain secondaries. In the case of speculative fiction, to call work Asian influenced is to insinuate that the genres of science fiction and fantasy are inherently non-Asian. The subtle dismissal of imaginative narrative technology and fantastic worlds came from non-Western European traditions once again illustrated that speculative fiction has the history of being an exclusive playground. Not to mention that indigenous Asian culture have long permeated Anglophone speculative fiction as a consequence of varying degrees of Orientalism. Admittedly, this label is a successful marketing which, especially in America, commodification of a minority group's culture, history, and identity, resulting in a product distinct enough for the majority to evoke a sense of wonder. In the system of the hegemonic Anglophone, we will remarket a work that bears this label is thus endowed with a certain symbolic capital. In the words of Baudelaire, in particular, the utter lack of Asian narratives in the history of Anglophone speculative fiction provide Asian-influenced science fiction and fantasy with even greater symbolic capital due to the scarcity-induced cognitive estrangement it brings. So, in the renowned Chinese science fiction researcher and translator, Annie Xuanyiqin's latest unpublished paper, The Technology of Decolonization, can live so punk cosmonarratology in the Dindalian dynasty tetralogy. She delves into the nuances of Cyberpunk, a term coined by Ken for his The Dandelion Dynasty series, emphasizing its roots in non-Western traditions and materials, such as silk and bamboo. Cyberpunk reimagines the narrative and technological landscape, speculative fiction, integrating Eastern philosophies such as Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, and aesthetics to challenge and expand the genre's traditional Eurocentric focus. As the Chinese sci-fi author Han Song put it, science, technology, and modernization are not characteristic of Chinese culture. They are like alien entities. If we buy into them, we transform ourselves into monsters. And that is the only way we can get along with Western notion of progress. The uncritical adoption of the prevailing technological discourses by cultures that do not inherently identify with the Eurocentric model of modern science fiction, science intel risks, leading to self-orientalization. Emergent coins the term cosmo-narratology in conjunction with Qiufan's proposition of Cosmo-techniques, which contains that modern science and technology have emanated from Western paradigms, are wrongly assumed to be anthropologically universal. Qiufan argues that to interrogate the question of technology, we should turn to the predominant myth of the origins of technology, handed down to us and rejected and extended by Western philosophy. Qiufan's Cosmo-techniques is proposed as a response, tracing different technology and contributing to the opening up the plurality of relations between techniques, mythology, and cosmology. Ken Liu's works would be a perfect example, explores the unique narrative potential of cyberpunk or cyberpunk or speculation fiction as a tool for decolonizing the future by deconstructing prevailing systems and reshaping reality as a tension between fictional and factual world. The reinvention of the genre would contribute to the understanding of decolonization of Anglophone literature, the genre, and the futures come by promoting a truly cosmopolitan worldview, a confluence of cultural influences without embedded hierarchy, challenging the linearity of language and technology, and embrace a de-westernized, decentralized, interconnected web of multivalent connections between equal agents. So in this reimagined cyberpunk narrative, the protagonist might be not just hackers and rebel fighting against oppressive corporations and governments, but also could be scientists, artists, philosophers, and spiritual seekers, working to align advanced technology with the principle of harmony, sustainability, and compassion, not necessary with human, but all beings. The settings might expand beyond the neoliths, urban sprawls to diverse landscapes where technology and nature coexist in a symbiotic dance. Ultimately, the synthesis of cutting-edge technologies, ancient philosophical wisdom, and the transformative vision of non-human-centric AI has the potential to breathe new life into the cyberpunk genre, expanding its boundaries and deepening its relevance for the challenges and opportunities of the 21st century. By embracing a more holistic, cosmological, ecocentric, and compassionate approach to the relationship between humanity, technology, and the natural world. This reimagined cyberpunk to inspire us to create a future that is not just technologically advanced, but also spiritually and ecologically enlightened. So this is my sharing today. Forgive my voice because of the cold. And thank you for listening. Any comments and feedback are most welcome. Thank you.